Welcome to our Ballito TV special edition of the Rise Up Movement GBV 365 Rise campaign.
Welcome to our special GBV 365 Rise campaign. Thank you, Sasha Mirage, for being in studio with us today from the Rise Up Movement. Sasha, what is the Rise Up Movement?
Thanks, Darren, for having me here. Rise Up Movement is an awareness campaign creating awareness on GBV, human trafficking and child trafficking. Also on sustainable living, creating or providing food hampers to those that are in destitute and really need those food hampers in places that are like low-cost housing or areas that don't have food.
So you're for on the outskirt areas where obviously it's more difficult for us to reach out to and those that are more in need.
That's it.
And the main functions within the organization?
Having silent demonstrations against GBV, which is most importantly recently, ever since lockdown, we have noticed that there was a rise in GBV cases. And we figured, okay, we need to say something, we need to be out there. So we started off with our silent demonstrations at different robots, holding up placards. And the response from the people was amazing. It was overwhelming. They were hooting for us. They were giving up the thumbs up. It was great. So that was the kind of awareness that we wanted to create and go on from there.
And I know I was involved in the lineup there. The support that was there was just phenomenal, and how the community came together. It speaks words, doesn't it?
That is it. And having the comments from our Facebook page, people were saying, keep up the good work, or we'd like to join you at the next time. So every time we have a silent demonstration, we used to give them updates. Okay, we'll be here, we'll be Ballito, or we'll be in Verdun, please come join us. And people used to come join us.
No, I know that was such a brilliant day, and the feedback, like you said, that I saw as an outsider was absolutely phenomenal. And then Sasha, your role as a community activist, tell us a bit more about your involvement.
Well, I've been a community activist since school.
Really?
Right, so it started off in school with small concepts like the environment, where we used to have the environmental clubs.
Yes.
And then as we got out of school, it grew bigger into charity events, where I started joining organizations, helping them to raise funds. And then the Rise Up movement came along, and our focus was there as well, mainly GBV, human trafficking, as that was what was needed mostly.
Yes.
And well, we still had those food hampers that were coming along, and that was one of my main roles there too.
That is phenomenal. And then Sasha, like, what would you welcome to ensure sustainable living is highlighted within the GBD, Rise Up movement? More
support from our government, having them to come on board with us and seeing the areas that we have been to. I think that would be great impact. It will show them that, and show to other people that they are also getting involved and they also care.
Of course.
So one of the main reasons we are here is to try and get the government in with us to help us raise this awareness.
Yes, and how's that been going? Have you found that they are responding to the initiative and to the drive?
We have been sending various emails to departments. We have been getting responses. They're very slow, but hopefully it will pick up.
At least it's getting there, and it's pushing through, and it's falling on ears slowly but surely. But I mean, with the community's backing, that in its own it's loud enough to have that fall onto the government's ears.
So the community, with that community support, we are we're hoping that their ears will open up and their eyes will open up and see, okay, the community is having this initiative, we need to join them.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. And in closing, Sasha, is there anything you'd like to tell us about the RAS movement that we are not aware of, that we should be aware of?
We have an amazing founder, Mr. Joshua Daniel, which not many people know about him because he likes to stay in the backlight. But it is through him, through his perseverance, and that we are having this initiative. Every time there's something that comes up, he's on the ball. So he gets our posters put up, or he will create awareness somehow for GBV. And it just sends a message out there that we need people more like him.
I agree.
To join us.
Josh is amazing.
That's it.
What he's been doing is just fantastic work behind the scenes in the drive, and how this has just grown. It's just absolutely.
And the people that are backing him, and that's amazing as well. Because we have this whole lot of support coming from our community, coming from our people, from different forums.
Yes.
It's just growing and growing. It's endless.
Oh, Sasha, that is just absolutely amazing. Well, I wish you all the best, and know we are all here to support you guys, and it's such a great initiative and cause that you're all running. Thank you so much for spending time with us here today.
Thank you.
It's a great privilege to be joined now by Advocate Amashni Naidu, who's the Acting Deputy Director for Sexual Offences and Community Affairs in the National Prosecuting Authority. We also have Advocate Dawn Coleman Malinga, who is a Senior State Advocate of Sexual Offences and Community Affairs Unit in the National Prosecuting Authority. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Let's start off with the topic that most people don't like discussing, but what should I do if I am raped is one of the most important questions here.
I think it's very important to report as soon as possible, either to a police station or to a Tiziana care centre if there's one in your area, and preferably within 72 hours. It's also very important not to bath or to try and sort of clean your face or your mouth or drink any liquid, and the reason for that is to preserve any DNA evidence that might be on your body. The third thing is not to take off your clothing, but if you feel you need to change your clothing, then to preserve that clothing as well, because there may be DNA evidence on your clothing. So it's important to take your clothing with you when you go to the police station or to the Tiziana care centre. And you can do this by folding it up and putting it into a brown plastic bag, a brown paper bag, sorry, not into a plastic bag, as that degrades the evidence. Don't wrap it in newspaper because that also degrades the evidence. Now, the place where you were raped is called a crime scene. So it's important not to interfere with that crime scene because there may be evidence on the crime scene, either DNA, there could be fingerprint evidence, and you need to ask somebody if they're available to preserve that crime scene or stand guard over that crime scene until the police arrive. So if you can lock it up, and then go to the police station if you're on your own. But if it's a field, obviously you've no choice to leave it. But if it's a car, you can obviously lock the car and go to the police station.
Well, you know what, I think this might be for victims, but it's also for people who come across this sort of situation. So it's important for all of us to be aware as community members that if we do come up on a situation like this, that we're aware of what actually needs to be done, because it's the evidence that is going to be held up in court.
Absolutely. We often say to like our security companies and even the police that first arrive on the scene, if they're not trained, to rather just preserve the crime scene and let the experts come onto the crime scene, because it may be a cigarette butt, it may be a glass, it may be a fingerprint, but that may be the only evidence that will link the accused to a particular crime if the suspect is unknown. So if that's tampered with or contaminated, we may not be able to then find the suspect at the end of the day if it's tampered with.
So it's vital information. And then you mentioned Tiziana Care Centre. Do you want to tell me a bit more about that?
Dawn, you would speak about the Tiziana Care Centre? All right. In terms of the Tiziana Care Centre, it's a one-stop rape crisis centre. If you examine the word Tiziana, it means comfort. It's a Xhosa word that's used to describe comfort. And the Tiziana Care Center is exactly that. It's the epitome of comfort. It provides for, and there's many reasons that the Tiziana Care Center had been established. And one of those reasons were, number one, to avoid secondary victimization. The fact that a survivor had been through the ordeal of being raped. She didn't ask to be raped. And here she is now confronted with a system that she doesn't know anything about. And when she walks into the Tiziana Care Center, she's offered this comfort. So number one, you're looking at reduction of secondary victimization. But what do people want to know more about? If I report a case, I want to know if something's going to happen to that case.
Yep.
I want to know if the person's going to be convicted. So what happens there? I need to know, or the Tiziana Care Center aims to improve the conviction rate. But also what's important about the Tiziana Care Center is that it wants to reduce cycle time. Have you often asked yourself, or can you remember what you had for dinner last week Wednesday?
Nope.
But we expect survivors to remember that sort of information. And generally cases take quite some time to get to court. So we want to know the color of the underwear. We want to know what he did exactly. And people have fallible memory. So as a result, I'm looked at negatively because I can't remember. So another aim of the Tiziana Care Center is to reduce the cycle time. So we try to bring our cases as quick as possible to court. Again, because of memory, also because of healing. And the psychosocial aspect about the Tiziana Care Center brings the healing element in. Psychosocial is very important. So that's the premise of your Tiziana Care Center. And again, I want to stress, turning victims into survivors.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, because so often victims try to deal with it themselves.
Correct.
And the journey and the process is so much longer.
Correct.
But having care centres like you explaining, and is there one or two, is there only one here in KZN?
We have 9 in KZN.
9! My word,
So
isn't that incredible?
around the country we have 55, with further 6 being developed as we speak, and should be up and going by the end of March 2022.
That is remarkable.
Absolutely. But in the province as we stand, we have 9. I can quickly tell you where they are.
Yes, I think
So
that's very important for the community to know.
Absolutely. So we're starting out deep in the north. You're looking at in Ngwavuma, at Mossveld Hospital, at Mpangeni Memorial Hospital. Here it's Stanger and the Stanger Memorial Hospital. In Phoenix, you have the Mahatma Gandhi Hospital. Then you have a Tiziana Care Center in Umlazi at the Prince Mshieni Hospital. In Chatsworth, you have the R.K. Khan Hospital. And then you go on to the south coast and you look at Port Shepstone, at the Port Shepstone Memorial Hospital. You have at Edendale Hospital in Maritzburg, and then in Madadeni at the Madadeni Memorial Hospital.
That is wonderful, absolutely incredible. And that these are actually, I wasn't aware that these care centres are located within a hospital, which is a safe zone for also a victim.
Correct.
You know, they do. I would presume, blessed that I've never experienced anything like this myself, but I think it's way more comforting walking into a hospital facility where it's known for care.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Wow. So what can a victim expect when arriving at a care centre?
So this for me is such a phenomenal process, because when I walk into the Tiziana Care Center, I'm met by a site coordinator. Now you also need to understand that yes, the Tiziana Care Center is premised on a 24-hour basis, but not all of our TCCs can do so. Like the one in Stanger is not open 24 hours and matters are dealt with in casualty. But when I walk into the Tiziana Care Center, I'm met by a face that greets me, and she's called a site coordinator. She's not going to tell me, I know how you feel, because she doesn't know how I feel. But she will take me through the process. What is important to you as a survivor, or you as a normal human being? I want to be informed.
Correct.
So as I walk into the Tiziana Care Center, I'm greeted by a face that's welcoming, and she takes me through the process. She takes me through the process of telling me, you're going to go for testing in terms of HIV, as well as counseling. You're going to go to a doctor. The doctor is going to examine you, but a nurse is going to be present with you. You're not going to be alone. But you tell the doctor, if you're not too happy or if you're a bit agitated right now, tell the doctor and he will listen or she will listen to you. You're not forced to go through this process right now. But before you go through the process, you're going to be asked to sign a form which allows the doctor, to examine you. Once that's done, and whilst you're in the doctor's room, he's going to gather the evidence like Advocate Coleman Malinga has spoken about. That evidence is quite important. Once that evidence is collected, it's going to go to the police. From there, you're going to have your statement taken. And again, there is a police official based at the Tiziana Care Centre that's going to take that statement. This police official is sensitized to gender-based violence and femicide, and that's important. So nobody's making judgment calls and saying, but why did you wear a short skirt and why did you have something to drink? But what's also important is throughout this entire process, can we continue? Can I get you now, after you've done your examination?
Asking the permissions.
Can I get you now something to eat? You've just had your examination. You can now have a shower. I know you've waited at least a day or so. Yes, you can have a shower and I have a fresh pack of clothes for you. I'll have something to eat. Are you fine to continue? Statement is then taken. I'm now going to introduce you to a social worker. The social worker will provide the counseling. Now you've also heard, especially when it comes to children, does the child go through the trauma alone? And the answer is no. Who goes through that trauma with the child? A parent, a guardian, a grandmother. And that psychosocial intervention doesn't only include the child, but includes the extended family. And this is all happening within the Tiziana Care Centre. In addition to that, it's the follow-up activity that will still happen. Also, just to add, I might walk in and I'm totally angry against the world. So I walk in and all I need is just medication. What happens to me? So I need to be calmed down. There are trauma counselors present at the Tiziana Care Centre as well. They will calm me down. So by the end of that, I either decide, yes, I'd like to continue or I don't continue. But if I decide I still don't want to continue, the site coordinator and a victim assistant officer who's based at the Tiziana Care Centre will call me within the month. Just checking up, are you fine? We still have your crime kit and you're more than welcome to open up a case.
Okay, so it's that follow-up.
Correct.
That there's somebody still thinking about you, wanting
Correct.
to walk this path with you.
Absolutely, but just remember, there's a difference between an adult and a child.
Big difference.
Thank you.
No, I'm just totally blown away because I think in my day and age, you know, if there were rapes, so many of them you would have to walk into a police station and people just wouldn't do it and would have to deal with the emotions and the effects of it either themselves by not going to the police, but never had these wonderful Tiziana care centres. So why were these created and when was the first one created?
So the purpose of the Tiziana Care Centre is to holistically deal with the victim. So the first thing what we're looking at when we're dealing with the Tiziana Care Centre is to try and reduce secondary victimization. In the past, like you said, if you were raped, you had to first go to the police station, not a friendly place for most victims. Whereas now with the Tiziana Care Centre, you can actually walk into the Tiziana Care Centre and report directly to the Tiziana Care Centre.
So if you go to a police station, would they direct you to one of the care
They
centres?
will direct you to the care centre. So, or they, in many instances, they'll transport you to the Tiziana Care Centre. So once you're at the Tiziana Care Centre, what we have then is the services under one roof. In the past, you would have gone to the police station, then you would have gone to the hospital, and from the hospital you would have been referred somewhere else for your counselling, for your psychosocial services, etc. So we're trying to reduce the amount of places the victim has to visit. Having all the services under one roof, people are gaining specialized skills. So they're also sensitive to the needs of the victim. So when the victim goes into the Tiziana Care Centre, they're treated with the necessary respect, care, you know, their dignity is respected. So what that means is that they don't get traumatized by the stakeholders
Even further.
themselves. So the first purpose is to reduce that secondary victimization. Then what we do is we have a court link. So besides having the site coordinator and the victim assistant officer and looking at their needs holistically, we then have a court link. So we have a case manager that sits at the magistrate's court that is linked to the centre. So once the case is reported at the Tiziana Care Centre, we then monitor that case. The case manager will see what happens to the case. Do the police bring the case to court? Has the suspect been arrested? And from there we track that case. And the purpose is to reduce the time it takes for those matters to get to court. And then the purpose of the tracking is to make sure that we reduce, like I say, the time, but also that we prosecutor guide those investigations.
Yes.
We want to improve the conviction rates. There's a very poor conviction rate in most sexual offences matters. So what we're doing is we're ensuring that these investigations are given attention, that they get to court swiftly, and we get successful prosecutions.
You mentioned earlier about the 72 hours.
Yes.
Why is that so important?
Like I said, we're looking at the victim's needs holistically.
Yes.
So 72 hours is critical because, we've noticed or we've realized through research that DNA after, trying to obtain DNA after 72 hours is normally unsuccessful. So most doctors won't even attempt to try and get DNA after 72 hours because it will be gone.
Okay.
So the first purpose of saying please report within 72 hours is from that perspective. It's the evidential perspective. But we're looking at the holistic needs. When a victim reports at the TCC, if they report within 72 hours, we look at things like pregnancy prevention. Because remember, if you've been raped and no condom was used, there's a chance that you could fall pregnant. There's a chance that you could get an STI. There's a chance that you could get HIV. So the victim will be given medication to prevent the victim from falling pregnant, prevent the victim from getting an STI, and then they will also be tested for HIV. So if they're HIV negative at that particular stage, we give them medication to prevent them from becoming HIV positive. So they will go on to a course of medication. We call all of their medication post-exposure prophylaxis.
Okay. And you know what, it's well, not a common thing, but you so often hear that rape victims don't want to report their cases because they might have been at a party, there might have been drugs involved or alcohol involved. What do you say in that instance? I mean, they haven't been asked to be raped, and that's exactly it. So it is still a crime, whether you are dressed like we have said, in a short skirt. Short skirts are divine, and we live in KZN. Everyone wears short skirts and shorts. But yes, if you have been out and had a great night out and have been drinking, you 100% within your rights to still report this.
Absolutely. So when you're looking at that, so the aspect that you're talking about is consent. So the fact that I've consumed alcohol or I wear a short skirt, but let's look at the issues around alcohol and substances. Am I in my sane mind? Am I in my sound and sober senses? And could I appreciate what was actually happening to me? And the answer is no. Again, the fact that I had consumed alcohol, and I said no, or my body just didn't react, but obviously I wasn't in the place to say no.
Correct.
Means that there was no consent. And that information is important, and that's also information that we'll use as prosecutors. We look at the situation holistically to say, but she was so intoxicated that she could not have provided her consent. So don't say that I had a drink with her, and by merely having that drink with her, it was tacit consent. So we look at it holistically, yes.
Yeah. And the other thing is, you know what, this is applicable to male and female.
Correct.
Young, old.
Correct.
It doesn't have any
Yeah, there's no gender, age,
Exactly.
or sexual orientation. The Tiziana Care Centre is open to everyone.
No, that is absolutely amazing. Can you refer victims to a shelter if they're not feeling safe going home or back to, if it was a husband or a partner?
Absolutely. So if say for instance, the perpetrator is an intimate partner, for example, the husband or a boyfriend, or a very well-known gangster in the area, and the victim doesn't feel safe, we do have shelters in the communities that we can refer our victims to, where they can stay. We also have white door centres that can provide temporary accommodation to victims pending referral to a shelter that are in the communities. So yes, we do. We can ensure their safety, and our victim assistant officers that are based at the Tiziana Care Centres, that's part of what they'll do. They're going to assess the immediate needs of the victim. Do you feel safe? Do you need a place to stay? You know, what is your situation? Because they would have spoken to the victim about how did this rape occur.
Yes.
So the moment they realize it's an intimate partner, they're going to ask those questions. Will you be safe going home? Can we maybe look at developing a safety plan? Because despite the fact that it's a husband or a boyfriend, the victim may very well want to return home. And you know, in those instances, we still need to discuss the safety of the victim with them.
100%.
So we look at developing safety plans. So we'll discuss issues around having a key available, etc. You know, looking at how can we ensure your safety even if you return back to your home.
And protection orders, where does that come into play?
So when we're looking at protection orders, and I'll cover it now, as we also look at protective measures.
Yes.
So often you'd hear survivors of gender-based violence and femicide or gender-based violence say, but I'm too scared to go to court. What happens if he sees me and he knows where I stay? Those are valid concerns. And what does the law say with regards to those protective measures? Yes, we do have them. So number one, where I am too afraid to be in a court environment with my perpetrator, first things first, I need a social worker's report. And that social worker's report is going to say, if I am now confronted with my perpetrator, it's going to cause me psychological harm. That report I would use as a prosecutor, and I will motivate in terms of an application to court for these following mechanisms. The first is in-camera proceedings, where the public is removed, but the only people that would be in court would be the legal officials, from the court orderly, the magistrate, to the legal counsel, and obviously the accused. But I want to see the perpetrator. I actually want to face him, but I don't need everybody else to be around. So I, as the victim, will appear in court, and I'm able to see him, but that's the only people that are present. You might also have a situation where I can't see him. I don't want to see him. So I will testify as an adult. I will testify in a separate room with a CCTV camera. So the court officials and persons in court, including the accused, would be able to see me and ask me the questions that they ordinarily would. And when it comes for me to identify the accused, the camera is inverted and I'm able to point out where the accused is. Okay. But what about me as a child? Because here is the test is a little bit different. Irreparable harm and damage is caused to me as a child. I don't know the language of which parties and cross-examination and my lord, my lady, your worship. And I'm going to get confused, and I'm also going to be daunted by that sort of language. So I have somebody called an intermediary that sits with me in the intermediary room where the CCTV camera is. And this intermediary could be an ex-teacher, a principal, a social worker, a psychologist. And they sit with me and they explain what's happening in court. But they ask me those questions in a child-friendly manner. So those are the mechanisms that are in place also to protect you. Then you've also spoken about the protection orders, as Advocate Dawn Coleman-Malinga has mentioned about the domestic violence cases. That's important, because where I am a victim of domestic violence, I need to be protected. I go to the magistrate court and I apply for an interim protection order. And in that interim protection order, I say that this is what the accused, the perpetrator, has done. And that's documented. But remember, it's called an interim protection order. Why? Because the offender also has a right to give his side of the version, or his side of the version. But that interim protection order is served on the perpetrator, that you're not allowed to do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. You might also have a situation where I still love him, and I still want to be with him. I just don't want him to hit me. So the interim protection order will still say that. You still reside in the same home, but you're not allowed to do this to her, or that, or whatever it may be. On the return date, so you'd be given a return date where that interim protection order becomes final, where the offender is now required to go back into court and say, oh, but she's actually talking nonsense, and this is the reasons why. Or the court will hear this information and say, listen, I don't really agree with what you're saying. That interim protection order now becomes final. I do, however, want to also say that victims of domestic violence should not say, he's been so wonderful to me. As soon as he was served with that interim protection order, he just was the best thing. He was actually the guy I married or started going out with.
You hear that so often.
And as a result, I don't go back to make that interim protection order final. And when I don't do that, he now has the upper hand. Remember, you had an interim. Interim means temporary. That interim protection order now falls away. He then, it hurts you, attacks you, and you could even have a situation where he then murders you. So my advice is, make sure that that interim protection order does become final. Also remember, with that protection order, you take it around the country with you. Keep it in your bag. That is your protective measure. Thanks.
Well, I think I've never expected to learn as much as I have, and I'm sure anybody watching this has all the information that they could ever need. It's so comprehensive, and I'm incredibly blown away and privileged to have met the two of you, and just thank you for the incredible work that you are doing within our communities and making people aware. And you're training people all the time with your incredible knowledge as well. In closing, is there anything you would like to just add?
I think maybe I can just say, I think it's very difficult for most people to go to court. I think it's quite a terrifying experience for most people. But I also want to remind your viewers that at court, we have court preparation officers. So make an appointment, go and see a court preparation officer, and they will actually take time and familiarize you with the courts. So they will explain who everyone is in court, what's going to happen, who the role players are, you know, what this terminology means, so that it's not such an unfamiliar environment on the day that you have to come and testify. And I think just knowing that can make it less traumatizing to come to court.
Thank you so much for joining us and for ending off on that incredibly powerful note, and I think a comfort to anybody who is ever in the situation. Absolutely. So thank you so very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Welcome Carla Welch, Director for All Kreations, affiliate and official sponsor of the Rise Up Movement's marketing and advertising. Carla, welcome, and thank you for joining us in studio.
Thank you for having me, Taryn.
No, it's only a pleasure. So tell us, what is the GBV 365 Rise campaign?
The GBV 365 Rise campaign is based on creating awareness on gender-based violence. There is a remarkable incline on GBV and not enough awareness, and a lot of it's not me, it's not going to happen to me, or hidden factors. So there's a lot of victims out there, there's a lot of cases, there's a lot of things going on around GBV, and we need to just get people more aware of what it is and the realism of it.
Yes.
So what we've done is we've created this campaign, which is launching now, in collaboration with helping the Rise Up movement create safe houses across the country. Their first one is here in KwaZulu-Natal that they would like to do in the Ilembe district because there isn't one yet. And this safe house is to serve people while going through the process of court to help keep them safe throughout this period, as well as creating all the interlinks as have been interviewed with, getting them in touch with those people, making sure the procedures are done correctly, which the Rise Up movement caters and does everything for.
Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, all the work that goes into this, I know you're hands-on with all the work behind the scenes too, the marketing, the liaison. It is such a lot of work, and to have the backing of the community, it must be so rewarding.
I know, it definitely is. So I actually, by chance, met Joshua Daniel, who's the founder of the Rise Up movement, and noticed that he's so busy doing everything, helping everybody, that he hadn't had time to create the right awareness. And as a director of a marketing and advertising company, I thought the work that he was doing was so genuine and true. And obviously I do get requests often on doing pro bonos and helping assist with campaigns and stuff like that. And you know, as a marketing company, you find a lot of reluctance because there is a lot of cloak and dagger, and you don't know the legitimacy of these people. Obviously their industry is not my industry.
Of course.
But having met Josh and worked with him, so we started off with just helping him with his logo and just helping him sort out his Facebook page so that he could correctly get the awareness out there to a different platform other than the newspaper and print media and more old school formats of media, and become pretty good friends with him and gotten to see the work firsthand of what he does and the genuine nature him and his team actually have in assisting and helping people. And there is never, every conversation I have with him or anyone from his organization, there's never, well, I want this in return. In fact, I have to say to him, well, Joshua, you're giving businesses things in return because you're cross-marketing their awareness through what we're doing,
of course,
digitally. So you are giving back. Stop feeling guilty when people want to give stuff to help you help others, because you're actually helping others.
Yes.
So that's how we got involved with him, and now we run all the marketing and advertising. I obviously coach him through a lot of it because it has to come from him and his organization for it to be as true as it is to his viewers and people that follow him. But yeah, so the GBV 365 campaign is launched in partnership with Ballito TV, you guys, as well as it is obviously directed around the Rise Up movement, what they deal with, creating awareness for victims, for family members, for those that want to learn more, involving the right organizations, making sure that you know every single step of these organizations and knowing that who is valid in these organizations, because again, there is fear. There is a lot of being a victim, you deal with these people are corrupt or these people are not, or what is the right door. With dealing with GBV, from what I've learned with working with Josh for so long, there's a lot of doors to walk through. There's a lot of procedures. There are a lot of protocols to keep yourself, your family, or anyone dealing with the situation to do the right procedure, because if you don't do the right procedure, you have to start again. So making sure that everything is done right and that you've got someone that is there for you. From the moment it happens, they're busy working on kits for first hand. Joshua deals with rape kits for adults and children. He works with SAPS and all the organizations that have been on regarding this campaign and many others. So making sure that people are getting the right help, knowing the right steps to go forward to. And that's where the GBV campaign is really set off to. Obviously, GBV being one of his many portfolios that he deals with, alongside with human trafficking and poverty, and there's just so much more. And this is one of the biggest problems at the moment in the country. It is a pandemic that is happening every single day. There are news reports of women and men being murdered, killed. Men obviously are a bit more hidden purely because men don't like to come forward, and that is another pandemic within itself, is GBV with men, which, you know, I think there's just a stigma around it which has prevented people from coming forward on it. But now with what Josh has really got going at the moment is he's trying to raise funds to build the first safe house within the Ilembe district, and the plans don't stop there. They are to build them nationwide, help as many people as possible. Within that, he's got programs he wants to run to help rehabilitate these people while they are in his safe house and help them through all the procedures with all the people that are coming onto the show in relation to this.
It's absolutely phenomenal. what Josh and his team and you all have just done, and how it's just going to have this massive roll-on effect. It's mind-boggling. It's absolutely, like Mandy always says, I'm mind-blown. it really is. It's when it's actually lost for words. I mean, you know, for me as an individual, you always used to think gender-based violence is just for women. It's not. There are many men that also get abused. There's lots of stuff that happens behind the scenes. And for Josh and for the Rise Up movement and for all the other organizations involved, to allow us, not as a woman or a man, but as individuals, to go and follow the right steps and the protocols. The channels are there and they've educated everyone. And I mean, go have a look at it, go onto their campaigns, go onto their pages. It's just, there are no dead ends really. There's help wherever you want to seek help, and that's what's made this whole cause so amazing. And to just get that word out there, well done, and thank you for everything that you guys have done. It is just fabulous. And then how do we get involved in the campaign? If we want to help Josh, we want to help the Rise Up movement, we want to help the organizations, how can we keep in touch, get in touch, and how can we get involved?
So we've just set up a website for the Rise Up movement, which is www.riseupmovement.org.za. And on there we are just launched the pin badge initiative, which you can go purchase a pin badge online.
Which I presume
Yes,
is this
it's
one
this
that we've got here.
It's just to show that you are support and you're standing up and you're speaking out against GBV. And obviously with this, these funds go towards building the safe house. They're 50 Rand a pin badge, obviously excluding delivery, which will then be put onto the system. We've just finished linking it all up. In fact, it is launched as of this last week.
Oh, fantastic.
That sector. So there's also, if you don't want to buy a pin badge, that's all good. There is many other ways to donate. So there is a donate button on the website. On there is BackaBuddy. They have got PayPal. We've tried to open it to everyone, and not just locally, but internationally, which is why we've linked PayPal as well, to cater more for them versus PayPal being more South African.
Of course.
So we are trying. There's also different campaigns you can go follow, and you can go and petition against certain petitions that Josh has loaded online to help, again, GBV being one of the biggest priorities that he's dealing with at the moment. So there is many things, and you can follow all of that through the website or even their Facebook page, which is at the Rise Up Movement KZN. And yeah, there's just so much information, and there's email addresses, so if you want to become a sponsor, there's email addresses so you can go and get hold of the guys within the Rise Up movement dealing directly with people wanting to sponsor. If you want to volunteer, they can guide you through that. So they've got feeding programs, they've got outreach programs, they work with SAPS within the Lembe districts and outside. They do, if you want to get involved in a silent demonstration, there's a lot of those that go on for human trafficking, gender-based violence, human trafficking. There's just, the list goes on.
It's endless.
There is so many needs that he is addressing, but obviously this campaign is majority around GBV. But it is endless. However you feel you can help or would like to help or get involved, or if you know someone that needs help, all of those are on there. When a victim contacts on the website, it is to your discretion of what information you want to give out. There is a WhatsApp line, there is an emergency line to contact if you don't want to give any of your private information and you just want some advice. Josh is always, him and his team are always willing to sit down with you, go over anything if you want to go through that with them. Obviously there's so many connections that the Rise Up movement work with. They work with obviously Ballito TV, Vision 153, there's Link Foundation. They all work together, and that is the great thing about it, is it's people you can trust. It is real people. It is people that really are invested in what they're doing, in helping people, not helping themselves. And those are the connections that the Rise Up movement use. They don't use connections where they're paying back pockets. I've heard so many situations where they have been, oh, well, we can fast track, and Josh just straight out, no. It's the right way or no way. And that is the only way the Rise Up movement works. So that's why I've gotten involved, not because of anything. I couldn't believe the true nature of this movement and the real work that goes behind it. It wasn't somebody helping themselves.
No.
So yeah, that's how we landed up getting involved with them.
Absolutely amazing, and thank you. Thank you so much for shedding light on what it is that you do, and Joshua does, what the Rise Up movement's all about, and how we can get involved. And there are so many other campaigns as well, even though the gender-based violence is such a big drive at the moment, as well as human trafficking. But I mean, guys, get involved, go onto the platform, go donate, buy badges. attend the silent protest. I was at one. It really, and it's not just a protest, it's actually fun. It's camaraderie. We're all there together. I mean, we're all standing as a unison, as one, trying to make a difference. And it's never too late to make a difference.
But your voice is also, if you don't need to donate money, or you don't have to donate food. Everyone is the stigma about donating. Donating can just be your time, or share a post. Get the awareness out. That's what the digital media side, and that's why we work so hard on it on our side, is to create that awareness that it may not be you that needs it, but if you see one of the Rise Up Movement's posts go out, or an NPO that you know and trust, share that post, because it could be someone on your page that needs them or knows of somebody. Who do I contact? And obviously in a time of crisis, you don't know who to contact. No. So making sure that that awareness is out there.
Carla, thank you so much for your time.
Only a pleasure.
Really,
Thanks for having me.
No, it's great. Lovely having you in studio, and thank you once again for all that you do. And just know that us here at Ballito TV are backing you, and thank you once again for all that you do for the community. It's really appreciated.
Thank you, sir.
On this special edition of GBV 365 Rise, it's a privilege for me to be chatting to Nadira Pillay, a victim's parent. Welcome, Nadira.
Thank you.
First of all, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm a mom of 3 and a foster kid. I'm a grandmom. I do have a small catering business which I run from home, ex-beautician. Yeah.
Okay. I'm also a granny, so it's the best feeling ever, isn't it?
Awesome feeling.
100%. Nadira, can you explain to us the emotional effects of losing a child because of domestic violence?
You know, it's a difficult one because your emotions are all over the place. You're on a high and then you're on a low again. And it's a huge adjustment because one, as a parent, you don't plan to bury a child.
No, it should be the other way around.
It should be the other way around. That's what we live our lives for. You know, the day is going to come where your kid is going to bury you and not the other way around. So it's a difficult road. I haven't really mourned the loss of my child yet because I have a huge task on my hand, and that is raising my 6-year-old grandson, who is the child of Shanae Pillay. So in terms of my emotions, I somewhat put it aside to pick up the pieces and move on because I have much responsibilities.
Absolutely. So you know what the impact is, not just the immediate family. You know, it's this young child that's been left without a mom.
Yes, it's basically a role reversal from grandmom to a mom at this stage in my life, and it's not a difficult road raising him, but with the emotions that come with it, because he does ask questions about his mum.
Yes.
And you know, you've got to answer it as best as you can to assure him that his mum is in a safe place, and you know, the emotions do come up when he does ask questions.
Yes.
And you have to just brace yourself, and you've got to be so tough to show him that, you know what, I do have some answers for you, but I also don't have lots of answers.
Yes.
You know, and the difficult part for me was actually his first day of school. It was his mom's dream to take him to school, and then it became his dad's duty and mine as a grandma to take him to his first day at school, primary school. And it was a pretty emotional day, that day for me. Was very, very emotional because, like I said, everything has to be done for him right now by me. I'm kind of a mom figure in his life. So in saying that, I've got to keep my emotions intact.
Yeah, and almost be strong for him, but you mourning inside, which is incredibly difficult.
It is a very difficult role. And then, you know, you've got to carry the fort.
Yep.
I've got other kids, and I've got a foster kid. So they demand my time.
Correct.
So you put your feelings aside as a mom, which all mom does. Mom does that all the time.
Yes.
Every mom when they have kids. But when you are a mom that's lost a kid, it's a little bit more difficult.
100%.
It's extremely difficult at times. I do have my moments where, you know, you want to mourn, you want to cry, there's so much you want to do, but then you realize that, for me, basically, when I look at this and I think if I have to show emotion now, it's, for me personally, it's a sign of weakness.
Yeah, I think it's also generations. We are taught that we've got to be strong.
We've got to be strong.
And that it's a sign of weakness to show that you've got emotions almost. So.
And I am a strong person. I'm a survivor of gender-based violence as well, a victim of gender-based violence. And so you become tough. And
resilient in whatever ways
in
that
whatever
you can
way,
be.
yes, you know, and you just put it aside, and you've got to go on, and in going on and in not grieving as much, it doesn't mean that I didn't love my child.
Exactly.
I miss
There's
her.
a difference.
That was my pride and joy, my daughter, and her life was snatched away from me at the age of 27. So it's pretty difficult.
Nadira, I know we can't talk about the case or anything like that. What support have you and your family had?
Okay, in terms of family support, families are always, in times of need, they're always there. But I must say, when it came to the Rise Up movement, 100% support from people that I didn't even know. I have not met anybody from the Uprise movement before the murder of my child, the death of my child. And I must say their support is overwhelming. And the DA as well. I've had Ramona McKenzie, Jennifer Black stand with me in court, and it meant a lot to me. Community support was amazing, you know, so.
And you know what, I think it's also a topic that people avoid and maybe don't want to confront.
Yes.
So maybe that's why you hadn't heard of them, because the need for them wasn't there. But everybody needs to know that there are organizations and people that are able to offer support and guide you through these processes. So I'm very grateful that at least you did have some support through the Rise Up movement, and as you've said, through the DA, which for me is remarkable.
Yeah, it's amazing. In times like this, you realize that there's so many people out there that is there to support you and stand by you.
Yeah.
You know, it was overwhelming just to see Josh and Sasha from the Uprise movement come with me to court.
Yes.
It kind of blew me away, because up until today, up until, you know, recently, till the death of my child, I've never heard of this movement.
But they
was there.
They heard about
Yes.
the situation,
Yes.
and obviously
Yes.
came as knights in shining armor to stand by you, which is remarkable.
It is 100% remarkable. I take my hat off to them.
Well, Nadira, I know we can't bring her back, but a mom to a mom, I just send lots of love your way.
Thank you.
And as a granny, your young grandchild, he's very blessed to have a strong granny like you.
Thank you.
And we just hope and pray that there is justice for her. And I just wish you all the very, very best.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on show.
My pleasure.
Welcome to the studio. With me in studio, I've got Sergeant Mahlobo, champion of the Lembe SAPS Men for Change. Sergeant, welcome.
Thank you so much for welcoming me and affording me this opportunity.
It's so great having you in studio today. For those that don't know, what is Men for Change?
Men for Change, basically, it is within the SAPS structures where the management of SAPS have seen that there must be a structure such as Men for Change. And it is not the only structure that we have. We do have a women's network. So this Men for Change was established way back in 2004 in conjunction with Women's Network.
Okay.
Yes, that is it.
Can you really, so it's actually come such a long way, and it's just now recent how this big boom and drive has been pushed up for Men for Change.
Well, one may say so because maybe he or she was not exposed to this environment.
That's it.
But it has been there, and for now, it looks like it's mushrooming a lot.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
Tell us, what is the main focus and the main function of Men for Change?
The focus and main function of the Men for Change, firstly, we work in two spaces, like the internal and external.
Okay.
The internal is where we mold and groom the police official, whereby we bring back that humanity in a police official, whereby a community will have a trust in police, will have those guards. If they are going to police station and report whatsoever, or in a community, then when you look at the police official, starting from the dress code, because we are being guided by the code of conduct in the SAPS. So from then, you will realize that this person can assist me. This person can able to help me in any way within his environment. And again, when we go outside as a Men for Change, we also work with other organizations in making sure that we focus on the root causes of crime.
Okay.
Yes, so we conduct crime awareness campaigns strictly on gender-based violence, because that is one of the alarming crime in these days. Yes.
Yeah, it's very, very sad, and it has. I mean, gender-based violence has increased lately, and like we've learned, you know, women don't feel like, you know, we're quite scared. We don't want to go to a police station. But if a man can go to a police official that's a man, and you can go to him and find that comfort within that, and go through the change and get your support and get your systems going. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic.
Exactly.
It's absolutely fantastic. And tell me, which other organizations or departments do Men for Change work with besides the gender-based violence group?
All right. We do work with DST.
Okay.
I think you are aware of that department. We work with social workers at all levels. We work with NGOs, such as Rise Up Movement.
Yes.
They are the one who are mostly working with us.
Yes.
Within Ilembe. And to maybe expand my explanation in terms of Men for Change.
Yes, please.
It's not only based on Ilembe district.
Okay.
It is nationwide.
Fantastic.
So it's not only based in KZN, by the way, but it's all over. So our structure is making sure that it assists the existing what we call structures, which are fighting crime, but mostly we are the one who are driving the crime awareness campaigns with the other department, as you have asked. Yes, the other department that we also work with, all NGOs that are forming part of Tutuzela centers.
Yes. And those are fabulous. I mean, what a great initiative.
Yes. Because we have realized that most of the downfall in fighting crime is communication breakdown.
Very true.
So we are closing those gaps now to say, if I am a police official, there is a victim in between. There is another departments that have to play their role. So we are closing that gap. We are driving this show to make sure that the victim or the perpetrator, because at sometimes the perpetrator themselves become a victims. So we are closing all those loopholes.
Wow.
Yes.
It's absolutely fantastic, Sergeant. I mean, it's just brilliant. The work that you guys are doing, we can, us as a community, can only ever be so grateful for everything that you guys do behind the scenes in order for all of this to work. And to have the, you know, the gender-based violence and the crimes all decrease. I mean, it's absolutely such a beautiful cause. And then another question I have for you is, how do you reach the victims of gender-based violence, and how would you intervene?
Well, obvious, as I've alluded before, that we do crime awareness campaigns. So we go to communities with these departments that I've mentioned before, such as DSD, all NGOs that are well recognized. We go to communities and do crime awareness campaigns. That's where we break the silence, because at times there are victims, but they are not. They don't have confidence to come out and say we are suffering from 1, 2, 3. So that's how we come to identify them, then render a service. How do we render a service under an umbrella of SAPS? Because remember, we are employed by SAPS. There is a code of conduct. There are national instruction, standing orders that are guiding us. At the very same time, we do observe the what you call human right, the Bill of Rights, when we are servicing these victims. And as we observe all those sectors, then after we have identified the victim, then we make sure that we involve social workers, we involve, as I've said, if it is of a serious crime like rape, then obvious that a victim will be taken to a procedure of going via Tutuzela Center. But not forgetting to open cases.
And that is what I think women especially are too scared to do. And I feel, you can correct me if I'm wrong, with the Men for Change initiative, women will obviously feel a lot safer coming to a man and coming to an SAPS official saying, look, this is what I've been through. You're a gentleman in uniform, you're approachable, and like you said, you bring the humility back to it. It just opens all the doors and allows me to feel more approachable to you in order to open my cases, in order to get these guys prosecuted at the end of the day.
Yes, with our organization SAPS, we do have a unit called FCS, where all these sensitive cases involving children and women are being investigated by this unit, and this unit is being trained specific for those cases. So now we do have aspect when it comes to those cases like rape, when the child has been abused, you see. So it answers the question, how do we intervene? So we don't only assist the victim in getting counseling, exposing him or her in a working environment by means of NGOs, because these NGOs, they also give skills to these people, because other people are victims of gender-based violence just because they are scared to come out, because they are being fed by these perpetrators. So the perpetrator will find that the perpetrator is the one who's feeding the victim. So if the victim go out and report the matter, then he or she will starve. So these NGOs whom we work with, they assist up to that far to give the skills so that a person will be independent and stop being afraid of reporting the perpetrator.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And again, if you ask the question, how do we intervene? Even at a station level now, at a police station level, we also go to victim rooms where we check the data of the victims as to where are the victims. Then we go and do a follow-up and visit them and see how can we help you.
Brilliant.
Yes, how can we help them in terms of eradicating this fear?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's so great that you reach out to the individuals.
Yes, yes, yes.
I mean, that is...
Because, this thing, it goes with a human dignity.
Of course.
We do observe that, and the
Yes.
privacy.
Well, that's the other side of it, yes.
Yes, because we understand that people, they don't want to come out because they are trying to maintain their dignity.
The dignity at the end of the
Yes,
day. You're ashamed of what you've been through.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that is it, yeah.
Yeah, because people are ashamed. I mean, for me then to come to you and for you to say to me, let's go and investigate. I'm here to help you. No need to worry. We're going to protect you. We're going to protect your image, but you are safe. I mean, that's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. And then what is your message to the communities out there as Men for Change District Champion? What would you like to close off with?
Well, the strong message that I can send to our communities out there in South Africa is that we as men, we are there for everyone. To change whatever bad picture that have been painted over the word man.
Yes.
So we are there to change it now. And by doing so, we will observe all the legal, what you call framework. We are not going to say, because now we want to change, then we'll do wrong things. No.
Yeah.
We are going to do it in a right way. But what are we doing as men? Is to remember that when a boy is born, one day he will be a man. So that's where we start. The community must start grooming boys who will be the fathers of this country. Because that's where we lack the most as people in South Africa. We want to reap the fruits without watering the plant. So we as Men for Change, we say in Zulu, inkunzi isematholeni, which means in English, the bull is among the calves. Inkunzi isematholeni. The bull is among the calves. So what we're saying we are here to make the fathers of tomorrow, the people who will be responsible, the people who will fight against gender-based violence, the men that will be supportive to the family, to the society, to the nation worldwide. So that is our message. Not forgetting that there are men who are oppressed by means of not able to display their complaints, because they feel that maybe at one stage they will be loved by someone, you see.
Yes,
so we say to the men out there in communities, go out yourself, go and report whatever crime that is taking place against you. Because we say gender-based violence, not say, it doesn't say women's
only. Or just for men.
Yes.
It's all genders at the end of the day.
So I say people must go outside, must come from the corner of silence,
yes,
and speak out and say no to gender violence and to all crimes. As now we are approaching the festive season,
yes,
we are in a gear of embarking in 16 days of activism. As I speak, we are on a way, like today, we as Men for Change in KZN, we are going to Zululand for planning meeting for this province as to how are we going to eradicate these cases that are affecting our people outside there. So to the people of South Africa, I say, be safe. We are approaching festive season, and don't forget that we have to obey the rules and regulations by the president in terms of COVID-19.
Sergeant Mhlongo, it's been such a privilege to have you in studio today.
Yes.
And it's so inspiring what you guys are doing. Men for Change is absolutely such a great initiative and such a cause. And thank you for everything that you guys have been doing. And we wish you all the best. And good luck on your adventure to Lundi and Zululand.
Yes.
Hope all the planning goes well, and we hope to have you soon on studio again. And please give us some feedback as to how it all goes.
Exactly.
We really, really, really are grateful. I had goosebumps during our interview with everything that you all do. It's absolutely fabulous. Thank you so, so, so much.
May God bless.
On today's special edition for the Rise Up movement, I am privileged to introduce you to Joshua Daniel, the founder. Welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Ruttman, for having me on board.
Only a pleasure. So the Rise Up movement has been in operation for a while, doing incredible work locally here in our community and assisting victims and their families all the time. Why the Rise Up movement? Where did this journey start?
The Rise Up movement came about based on my experience and my family's experience with my late sister. We grew up in a household that gender-based violence, or I'd say domestic violence, was the key foundation there. My dad was an alcoholic. My mom actually never knew she married an alcoholic until the day of the wedding.
Oh my word.
That there's this guy, all dressed up but totally out of his mind with alcohol or so. And obviously it'll be like, bachelor party we had and whatever and so forth, and brushed over the carpet. But however, as time went by, it became more of a household trend of alcohol. And it brought to a point that, it came to a point actually, Mandy, that at one stage my late sister and myself, whereas my mom couldn't take it anymore, they actually took us in the middle of the night to go commit suicide. To that kind of extent. I remember days where we had no food and my mom had to go house to house to go wash clothes. And that time there was no washing machine and so forth. You're standing outside in the sun on a washing stone, and you're actually washing clothes for raising money for my late sister. I think at that time it was NAN 26 or S26 milk. That's the background we come up from. And domestic violence, looking at my mom, looking at our lifestyle, has always been dear to my heart. And from there, I always believed in that our circumstances, or I should say our past experience, shouldn't determine our future.
100%.
And at that time, I took a stand in my mindset that I will not grow up and follow that path. In society, we got this thing, yes, if parents are alcoholics, kids will follow in the same road and so forth. That doesn't have to be the way.
No.
And that's how the Rise Up movement was founded initially on. And from there, I managed to build a life up, got into university, finished my teaching degree, got myself my master's degree in community development and found myself teaching in a school, maths and physics.
My word.
Yes, high school. I think, whoa. And while teaching, that's, I would say, the whole foundation came into being. But in class, while teaching theorem of Pythagoras and we're having a conversation with kids, on lifestyle living, teenage bullying and it started to build up and grow up from there, from helping out kids with basic school essentials, school fees, building the character up and then we start learning that, there are other kids as well too that go through this on a daily basis, parents as well too. And that's how it started to build up 18 years ago from school days of teaching. Started up in a personal capacity. And, I believe in that one act of random kindness. That's my whole motto in life. If we can do one act of random kindness per day, this world will be a better place.
Joshua, thank you for sharing that story with us. And just from my perspective, you have seen this as a child.
Correct.
So you know what victims' children go through in this process when it's a parent that is the abuser. But you also now deal with those parents in various forms, whether it is a victim themselves, their family members. We've had a victim's mother that we chatted to earlier in the program, Nadira. So I think it's incredibly special. I don't know if special is the right word, but I think people will resonate with you and your help and your organization because you yourself have walked this path and you have come out on top. You have changed your life. You are, like you said, your circumstances have not made you a burden to anybody. You made that decision to go forward and to serve and assist these people going through it. So I applaud you. I really do applaud you. And I know you are a very humble person. You don't take compliments easily. But I think the strength of this organization is that it is run by somebody who can talk firsthand.
No, absolutely correct. You know, Ms. Ruthman, when it comes to, like you said, compliments, I think for me, why I'm really not into it is because I believe in that we all have a purpose in life. And it's not about ego boost. You know, when a lot of times you have people, oh yes, I need that compliment, or the thank you and so forth. For me, getting that from people and so forth, man, no man, we are here to help. I understand, I can identify from where you're coming from. Everyone's situation is different. And sadly, in society, we have this thing called, let's brand everyone the same, or my opinion must become your so-called fact, or, of that.
Correct, yeah.
And so, but we don't actually have this concept of, let's take out that sympathy part and let's have empathy. Let me put myself in one situation to identify. And if we can do that, we don't really need our thank yous and so forth, because it's just one act of random kindness and we are moving forward in making a difference in this world. That's how we should look at life. I mean, that's my opinion of how I see things.
Well, you will have people like me thanking you
yes,
for the
and
incredible
you do it all
work
the time.
that you do. Can you maybe just explain, because a lot of people will go, what is the difference between gender-based violence and domestic violence? Is it one and the same? Because somebody has actually recently asked that.
Gender-based violence is across the board. Domestic violence is in your household, your whole entire household, what takes place and so forth. With gender-based violence, we have a vast range. We have men that are abused. We do have cases of men coming forward. However, they will not come out and speak openly based on, I think the most common factor is the men are regarded as the alpha male and the embarrassment. I mean, we did a post some time ago when we had men awareness on social media, and it was a laughing stock for some of the guys. You cannot even have your woman under control, and now you're coming and you're posting this. So they really don't, want to show off or actually explain where their so-called experiences.
Yes.
Then we have also that women abuse men. We do have those instances. In the case of a divorce, and because the woman has got the upper hand, she manipulates the man. No, you can't do this to me, or you can't see the child at a certain time, or you can't do that, because if you do these things and so forth, my court interdict will be put into effect. Those kind of things.
So it can work both ways.
Both ways.
Correct.
So at times you have to be a neutral person, just to understand the concepts of this and so. Domestic violence, the sad part of it, our children are exploited more onto it. And that I always believe the first 7 years of a child's life, mommy and daddy are the television. What you do, how you speak. If you look at kids today as well too, my mommy can do this. Oh no, my daddy dresses this way. Oh, that's the style. And as they grow up, okay, no, it's fine. Daddy swears, mommy, sure, I can create that mindset. Yes, when I get myself a girlfriend or a wife, and so I can treat her in that way.
Correct.
And so we have to also look at how we carry out ourselves. I always say to parents as well, you got a tiff, you got an argument, take it into the bedroom.
Correct.
Not in front of the child.
Yeah.
Because what you portray is what your child is actually going to reflect. I mean, we all learn by the environment we grow up in.
Correct. This 365 Rise campaign,
Yes.
what does it mean to you? Because this has also been a journey. The Rise Up movement is involved in so many incredible campaigns, from feeding people to silent demonstrations, all sorts of things. But what is this 365 Rise campaign?
The 365 Rise campaign is to acknowledge and understand that gender-based violence is not just a once-off thing. It's a constant thing, 365 in a day. Let's embed it in our minds. Let us rise up to be a crusader against this pandemic, which is actually sweeping South Africa now. When we look at stats, when we look at current, in our communities and so what's taking place. So this entire entity came about, let's start getting people aware on a daily basis. It could happen, gender-based violence, domestic violence could happen to one of our friends. It could be our family member who doesn't want to speak out and so forth. So this campaign came about based on that initiative, and it's also based on our Safe House project. That project, Ms. Ruthman, has been in my heart for many, many, many years. And it actually was when I was in school. I thought about, hey, a safe house based on our experience. Because I remember at times we had no place to go. I mean, at times our families, my mom's side or my dad's side, they always
didn't want to get involved.
And at times we slept in a motor car outside on the road. There's no driveway, nothing. You're sleeping there. You got a mother with two small kids sleeping in a car, which could be murdered or raped or anything. So that concept of a safe house that came about. And over the years, researched it, up and down with different entities and so forth. And then it came about, we really need this in our areas as well. And it's just not just one safe house, it's going to be many safe houses. And the concept of the safe house, Mandy, a lot of people ask me, Josh, have you watched The Maid? The series are taking place and so on. Yes, and I'll tell them, I think the creators of that series there must have hacked my phone or hacked my laptop or my notes and so on, because it's not just going to be a safe house whereas there's a bed there or a
cold.
Yeah, and then we're going to have a matron that's going to say, oh, okay, you're a victim, come, there's clothes here, put. No. It's going to be a place where you're going to find yourself again. It's like you're going to have, one of the things I've got incorporated is a boutique.
Yes.
And that's when my friends were telling me, no, that maid thing definitely had something to do with it. Because it's like, you're going to have these, like a classy boutique. You go into it.
It's about also personal growth.
Yes.
So the reality is somebody comes in a victim,
Yes.
but they don't have to look or feel like a victim.
Absolutely correct.
And it is going to be a place where it helps people find themselves, grow inside and from outside.
Absolutely.
Which is remarkable. I mean, I don't think there is anything like that in this country.
No, and in that boutique, it'll be your clothing that's hanged up.
Yes.
No one's going to tell you, yeah, no, take this and wear.
Here's a packet, off you go.
You go in, what you feel comfortable with, it's yours there.
Yes.
There's a makeup set, by the way, we already started collecting all our stuff for all that as well too. All our, our products that are there, you take it. When you go into your room, it's not the bed or cupboard there, it's like a proper ladies' boutique room to sleep in and so forth, for you to build yourself up, to you to realize, my past experience is not going to bring me down. I am going to build myself up. Like one of those old club songs, I'm coming out with a bang now. And that's the whole entity of it. And then we've got people there that's going to be there to help you to get through this time while your entire case is being heard at court and so forth. This is the kind of foundation for you to rebuild up. And it's going to, and it's like so much.
It's going to be a dream come true.
And then you've
for
got
you.
skills if you want to, you know, it's about independency. Some of our women, that when they come out of a house of GBV or domestic violence, what do I do? Where do I go?
Don't even know where to
How do I
start.
start my life up? Here's people that are helping you out to get you up. You want to start your own little, be it skills, be it employment, get that going. And in the long term, hopefully by the universe grace, that will come to pass, that where we can build up cottages, there's your house for you. And as you build your life up, and
Self-sufficient.
yes, and then from there you can, like, you know, use that to help the others out. You know, in that kind of a thing, I mean, we have a problem with housing, and I'm not going to fight with government about that.
No.
I'll be honest with you.
No.
I'd rather fundraise, get it going, that our women and children that are safe. I mean, in South Africa, it's more than 50% of our population is made up of women. And if we cannot give them that safety, how are they going to, I mean, how is our future generation going to live?
So what is it going to take to make this happen?
Well, we've got our pin badge drive, which is taking place. And we've got Ballito TV with all Kreations. I must say that two entities are out of this world when it comes to the work that they've been assisting us with. And so people can actually purchase the pin badge. They can go onto our website, which is www.riseupmovement.org.za. They can become a donor. They can get involved in our various initiatives that we've got up, from our feeding programs to our awareness campaigns to our children's programs that we've got running through and so forth. They can become a volunteer. They can donate. They can, if you even need help, assistance, drop us a mail on that page there. Your information is kept in private. It's not been exposed to anyone. We will get you the proper help. I mean, recently we had the advocate Don Coleman Madlinga and advocate Omisha Naidu. That's the same principles which we echo to people. When you're taking up this battle on GBV, understand the rules, understand the protocol, so you don't get shot in the foot.
There's a process, and if you follow that process, it works.
It works 100%. But when you start to listen to one person's advice, this person, that person, automatically then you running up and down to court 10, 20 times. Thereafter you start losing faith and hope in the justice system that that's in place. Follow the protocols. You need help. There are people that are there to help you to walk down that aisle with this. And that's what the Rise Up movement is about. It's about helping. I believe in one concept. Let me serve rather than being served. The more I serve out to advise people, to assist people and so forth, that same person will be able to help another person out. That is why it's not Rise Up Movement as a Rise Up Movement Foundation or an organization. It's a movement that is not housed in one specific area or spot. It's going to be moving throughout. And that's the concept of it, Ms. Rutman.
Absolutely incredible. So there you have it. You know what to do on the 1st of November. You've got to buy your badge. How much are the badges, Josh?
50 Rand.
50 Rand. And it can change a life, and it can turn dreams into a reality, and can get the safe house built, which is so needed. So log on to www.riseupmovement.org.za, and I think you can pay by Zapper.
You can pay by Zapper, you got
EFT, PayFast,
EFT,
the whole lot.
the whole lot.
So please, we urge you to get on board and join us in building this safe house with the incredible team at the Rise Up Movement.